Hello. This is week number 3, and I'm here to do an update. So, it's been a good week. Well, I say good, not great, but it's been good in the sense that I got about 6 sales and had about 13 live calls. Now, week prior, you might remember that I had about 8 live calls and had about 4 sales, right? Now, what I was really happy about this week was the fact that my output almost doubled. The previous week, I spent about 17 hours on the phone, which is pretty fucking horrific. This week I spent about 32 hours on the phone, so it's almost double. And the main things I attribute that to is not having my phone on for the first like 2 days of work, like at all. Did not touch it. Um, that was probably the main thing. Now, in terms of the results, obviously that like almost double of output meant 6 sales instead of 4, which is huge. Because that month, like that week, I collected 30K cash, which is about $4,000 to $5,000 in a week, which isn't bad. And honestly, if I could stay on that trajectory, we'd be at the goal. But honestly, I'm shooting for more than that. I'm shooting for about 10 sales a week, so it's still 4 shy of the target. So it's not where I want to be, but you can see how these small incremental changes, just literally not having my phone for the first 2 days of work, have on your output and your focus and getting things done. Now, those are the main things that went well. Now, the main things that didn't go so well, towards the end of the week, I took my foot off the gas. Um, there was a bit of workplace drama which I got sucked into, so I probably spent an hour or two just talking to colleagues about nonsense that was completely irrelevant, which is a waste of time. And I do an hour of investing every day and meditation. I feel like that first hour of investing, because it's almost like that thing that I'm avoiding, it takes a little bit away from the sales calls. And it always makes me feel like I'm starting behind as opposed to ahead. Because the first thing I do is I hop on a team meet, which is super draining. And that's how I kick off my sales day. So what I'm going to be doing moving forward, I'm not going to be using my phone at all Monday, Tuesday. Last week I reduced the usage. This week, Monday, Tuesday, I'm not going to touch it at all. And then for the rest of the week, I'm going to be using it after 9 p.m. So minimize phone usage. Next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm moving my investing activities from the morning to the evenings. Because I felt that there's a lot of switching time between like I'm doing meditation, then investing, and then sales. It's like it's just kind of mentally overwhelming in the sense that I'm kind of switching between multiple tasks versus waking up with one specific focus. So the goal is to basically wake up and take sales calls until 9 p.m. Normally I wake up at like 10 or 11, then I meditate for an hour. So if I wake up at fucking 9 a.m., I meditate till 10, I'll work till 9 p.m. It'll be like an 11-hour day. But whatever time I wake up, as soon as I get up, I meditate, then I take sales calls until 9 p.m. And my goal is to hit 2 sales within that time frame. Okay, so there's a very clear direction, very clear focus of my time and energy, and no switching, which I think is going to have a pretty good outcome because it's going to be more work, more momentum, and a very clear focus from the moment I get out of bed. Okay, which reduces this confusion of waking up and being like, should I do the meditation? Should I stretch? Should I eat my breakfast? Should I do the investing? Or maybe I miss the investing and I'm like, I know I'm supposed to be on sales calls. Maybe I'll do a bit of the investing just to catch that up because I missed it in the morning. Kind of creates this negotiation with yourself versus now. It's like no negotiation. You're on sales calls till 9 p.m. As soon as 9 p.m. hits, we're now focusing on investing. If I have gym, sweet, I'll knock that out and then I'm going to get back to like learning about stocks and investing into finance. Um, if I don't have gym, I'll just go straight into the investing. And I also do like a Spanish lesson every evening as well, which I've scheduled in. Okay. So those are the main changes for this following week. In terms of the output, I've kept the same metrics. The previous week, I obviously had about 32 hours, or 32 and a half hours of output. This week, I'm shooting for about 40 hours of output. Now, the cool thing is, the more efficient I get, I might create time. Create time. It's like, what is it? What the heck does that? What does it mean to create time? So, in a 40-hour work week, most people, or most of the sales reps that I work with at least, they might actually work about 20 of those hours, realistically. And a lot of people sit in front of the computer for 12 hours. They're only really working for 8, and those 8, they're only really focused and attentive working for about 3. So the more focused you are and the more control you have over your attention, the more you can get done in the time that you have. So what I'm what my goal is with the same, because right now my working week is about 45 hours. With that same 45 hours, I plan to get more done with that time. If in 45 hours of work I can get 60 hours or 80 hours of work done, phenomenal. I basically just doubled, because it's about output. It's not about how many times hours you're sitting in front of the computer. This is one of the things I love about sales. I could sit in front of the computer for 12 hours and have the same result as someone that's sitting in the computer for 3 hours. Because it's not about how much time you sit there working. It's about what you get done in the time that you do have. Okay. So my goal here, because I have a fixed amount of time, is to get more things done with the hours that I have by tracking my outputs and making adjustments every week. So if my phone is distracting me and taking away an hour or two of productivity, get rid of it. Get the extra hour or two of productivity. Now in the same 40-hour work week, you'll get an extra 3-4 hours of work done because you're not distracted by your phone, and you've essentially increased your output by 3 or 4 hours. So in this sense, my goal is to be able to make that 25 grand work in literally just 4 hours a week. And I know it's possible. And it's just a case of having control of your focus and your attention. And the same way I'm going to do that with my sales, I'm going to do that with my stocks as well. Right? So when I'm switching from boom, 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 knocking out sales calls to then investing and learning about how stocks work, it's going to be the same attitude, aggressively focusing on just my stock portfolio. You know, looking at an individual company, looking at an individual thesis, not getting distracted by other things. Okay, so that's really my goal. I'm super excited about that because one of the things I love most about life and work in general is having like this intense focus where you can get a lot of things done with not a whole lot of time. Like being productive is like one of my favorite hobbies. So yeah, I'm very excited about how this next week's going to go with these shifts. And yeah, I'll let you know what the outcomes are next week. All right, peace the hell out. And one last thing as well before I go. What I found really impressive about this week is that because I'm living alone now, and I wasn't on my phone as much. I have a lot more time to myself, so I'm a lot more self-aware of where my attention and focus is going. Like for example, when I was working, where this workplace gossip came up, I immediately noticed that and I became aware that like, oh wow, like my colleagues, like 3 of them have messaged me and they spent like 20, 30 minutes just explaining different things to me. And I'm like, and then they've spent maybe hours in the week dealing with this bullshit, which is completely irrelevant, doesn't add anything to their outputs or inputs or their finances, doesn't earn them any money. It's just a waste of time. And I got sucked into it for about an hour or two, and I was like, wow, okay, like that's a very clear like violation of my time, which is going to take away from my outputs and the results that I'm going to get. So I'm developing a much higher level of self awareness of like where I'm at and what I'm doing as well day to day, which is super fucking cool. Because it means that I can get more done. I can have more like honest reviews of myself, and every week I'm going to actually be able to improve. And honestly, this is probably one of the most painful things that I've ever done is documenting this process because it's fucking exhausting. It's exhausting to constantly have to be improving, constantly be looking for reasons to get better, constantly confronting the fear of not being successful, right? Because without this accountability mechanism, without my goals, without breaking this down weekly, I wouldn't know why things were going wrong, or at least I wouldn't have very clear awareness of it. And when you don't have awareness of something and it's going wrong, it's very easy to just sweep it under the rug, and it becomes like a can of worms, right? Which you want to just avoid. And that's what I've been doing for years, or maybe like 6 months to a year now, and I'm fucking sick of it. And a bit of me is kind of terrified of like, fuck, what if I can't actually improve? What if I can't what if I've hit like a ceiling? What if I can't get any better? What if the company won't allow me to grow any further? What if my capacity as a sales rep has been maxed out? Like that's like the fear that I've got. And doing these videos and being more aware of this stuff has really helped me to kind of confront that and work through it, right? Because it's fucking scary to do something that you've never done before and to really push on a higher level, because you very well could fail, right? And I've been kind of fucking scared. It's like, fuck, what if I do all this work, this time, effort, and energy, and I don't get the goal? Which is probably why I procrastinated on it for so long. Um, but it's like these success barriers that you have to push through to get better and improve. And this has been a phenomenal accountability mechanism to help with that. So I appreciate you. Even if nobody's watching, that's fine. This is mainly just for me, but if anybody else that is watching, all right, I appreciate you and wish you the best. All right, peace.